Maya had always dreamed of living in a farmhouse. She loved the idea of waking up to the soft sunlight streaming through big windows, hearing the birds sing, and enjoying the smell of fresh grass in the morning. City life had never felt right to her. The streets were always crowded. The air was filled with exhaust, and there was never a moment of quiet. She wanted a home where she could feel free, where she could plant flowers, watch the seasons change, and have space to breathe. Every night she imagined a life in a beautiful farmhouse, with wide fields around her and the sky stretching endlessly above. One evening, after finishing work, Maya decided to browse online listings for houses just to dream a little. She didn't expect much because she knew houses in her budget were usually small apartments with walls too close together. But as she scrolled, a listing caught her attention. Her heart skipped a beat. There it was, a farmhouse on the edge of town. The pictures showed a classic white farmhouse with a red barn in the back. The garden looked huge, filled with colorful flowers, and a small pond reflected the sky like a mirror. She could imagine herself walking along the stone path, watering plants or reading a book under a big tree. Maya clicked on the listing, reading every detail. The house had 3 bedrooms, a large kitchen, and a living room with a fireplace. There was even a small loft that could be converted into a workspace for her painting and crafts. What made her even happier was that the property was not part of any homeowners association. She would not have anyone dictating what colors she could paint, what plants she could grow, or how she could arrange her home. For the first time, she felt like this was truly her chance to live freely. The next morning, Maya called the real estate agent to schedule a visit. She could hardly wait. That drive felt like a journey to her dreams. As she left the city behind, the buildings became fewer, replaced by open fields and trees. She could feel the fresh air filling her lungs, and her heart seemed lighter with every mile. When she finally arrived at the farmhouse, her eyes widened. It was even more beautiful than in the pictures. The white paint gleamed under the morning sun. The red barn looked charming, and the garden seemed alive with colors. Birds flew around, chirping happily, and a gentle breeze moved the leaves in the trees. Maya stepped out of her car and walked slowly along the stone path to the front door. She could feel the grass under her feet, soft and slightly damp from the morning dew. The smell of the earth and flowers was refreshing, a smell she had almost forgotten. She took a deep breath and smiled. This was what she had been searching for. She opened the door, and the inside of the house felt warm and welcoming. Sunlight poured through the large windows, filling every corner with light. She walked through the living room and could already imagine herself sitting on a comfortable chair near the fireplace, reading books or drinking tea while watching the flames dance. The kitchen was spacious, with counters that gleamed under the sunlight. Maya imagined cooking her favorite meals there, filling the house with wonderful smells. The bedrooms were bright and cozy. She could see herself waking up in the mornings to the soft sounds of birds and the gentle wind moving the leaves. The loft upstairs gave her a perfect space for her painting, a place where creativity could flow without interruption. Every room felt right, and she could imagine her life unfolding perfectly within those walls. As she walked around the garden, she noticed the small pond surrounded by stones and flowers. The water was clear and calm, reflecting the sky like a perfect mirror. She could imagine herself sitting there in the mornings watching the sunrise and drinking coffee, while the world slowly woke up around her. The flowers were in full bloom, and the garden looked like it had been cared for with love. Maya could see herself planting more flowers, creating a space full of life and color. The barn in the back was perfect for her small collection of gardening tools, and she even thought about keeping chickens someday. The possibilities felt endless, and the thought of having all this space for herself filled her with joy. Maya knew this house was exactly what she had been waiting for. She felt a connection to it that she could not explain. She imagined her friends visiting, laughing, and enjoying the garden with her. She thought about weekend mornings sitting on the porch with a warm cup of tea, watching the sun rise over the fields. The house felt alive, and she could see herself making memories there for years to come. Every detail, from the wooden beams in the ceiling to the little stone path in the garden, felt perfect. By the end of the day, Maya had made up her mind. She wanted this farmhouse more than anything. She called the agent again, asking about the next steps to purchase the house. The agent explained everything from the paperwork to the closing date, and Maya felt a mixture of excitement and relief. Finally, she would have a home where she could live freely, surrounded by nature without anyone telling her what she could or could not do. She imagined waking up in her own room for the first time, opening the windows and feeling the wind on her face. The thought made her heart swell with happiness. When the agent confirmed that she could make an offer immediately, Maya did not hesitate. She wanted to make sure no one else would take the house before her. She signed the papers with hands slightly trembling from excitement. This was her moment. She could hardly believe it was real. After years of dreaming and planning, her dream was finally coming true. She felt proud of herself for taking the leap and finding a place that was truly hers. Maya spent a little more time walking around the property before leaving. She touched the wooden fence, felt the texture of the stones on the path, and even leaned over to see the fish swimming in the pond. She wanted to memorize every detail, to carry the memory of this perfect day with her. As she drove back home, she kept thinking about the life she would build in the farmhouse. She thought about mornings in the garden, evenings by the fireplace, and the freedom she would finally feel. Every mile she drove, her excitement grew. Little did Maya know, living outside the rules of a homeowners association would soon bring unexpected attention. Some people were not used to neighbors having freedom. Some people liked controlling every detail of their surroundings. But for now, Maya only thought about her farmhouse, her garden, and the life she had always dreamed of. The future was bright, and she felt ready for every new adventure that awaited her in her new home. Maya could hardly wait for moving day. She had spent weeks packing her belongings, organizing her furniture, and planning how she would set up her new farmhouse. The thought of finally living in her dream home filled her with joy every morning. On the day she arrived, she opened the front door and stepped inside. The air smelled faintly of wood and flowers from the garden outside. Sunlight poured into the rooms, giving the house a warm and welcoming glow. She spent the first few hours arranging her things. The kitchen felt like the heart of the house, and she imagined preparing breakfast while the birds sang outside. She set up the living room with her favorite chairs, placing a small rug near the fireplace. In the bedrooms, she unpacked her clothes and neatly arranged her belongings. Every corner of the house felt like it had been waiting for her. Once everything was in place, Maya walked outside to explore the property. She had never had so much space before. The garden stretched wide, with flowers and trees creating a peaceful atmosphere. The pond in the back glimmered under the sun, and she could hear the gentle splash of water from the small fountain nearby. She imagined sitting there in the mornings, sipping tea and reading a book while the world slowly woke up. As she worked in the garden, planting new flowers and trimming bushes, she noticed a car slowly driving along the road in front of her house. Maya waved politely at the driver, a woman with neatly styled hair and a very serious expression. The woman's eyes narrowed as she looked at Maya's farmhouse. She did not wave back. Instead, she stopped her car for a moment and seemed to examine the house as if it were a problem to be solved. Maya returned to her gardening, thinking little of the encounter. She had always been a friendly person, but she was used to city neighbors being distant and uninterested. Here she felt the freedom to enjoy her space without interference. She worked happily, planting new flowers, cleaning the pond, and arranging the garden stones just the way she liked them. Every detail mattered to her. Later that afternoon, Maya heard a knock at her front door. She opened it to see the same woman from the car standing there. The woman wore a stiff expression and spoke in a sharp voice. "Excuse me," the woman said. "I'm your neighbor from the nearby community. I think there is a problem with your house." Maya blinked in surprise. "A problem? What do you mean?" The woman straightened her posture and crossed her arms. "I am part of the homeowners association, and I noticed your house here. It is not in the HOA, that is not allowed. You cannot just live here without permission." Maya was taken aback. "Oh, I see. But this property is private land. I purchased it legally. I checked everything with the agent. I'm not part of any HOA, and I don't believe there is a rule that stops me from living here." The woman's eyes widened slightly, but she quickly masked it with a frown. "I do not care. Living here without HOA approval is improper. I must report this. You need to stop everything immediately." Maya took a calm breath, determined not to let this stranger upset her first day in her dream home. "I am sorry, but I followed the law when I bought this house. I have all the documents. I am allowed to live here." The woman's face turned red with frustration. "You will regret this. People do not just break the rules in this neighborhood. I will make sure this situation is corrected." Maya nodded politely, closing the door gently. She could feel her excitement trembling slightly with concern. She had never dealt with someone like this before. Her first day in her farmhouse, which she had dreamed of for years, suddenly felt complicated. However, she reminded herself that she had the legal right to live there. No one could take away her happiness if she stayed calm and confident. Over the next few days, Maya continued settling into her farmhouse. She painted the walls in soft colors, arranged furniture, and even hung lights in the garden. Every evening, she sat by the pond, reflecting on how peaceful her life had become. She could hear the wind rustling through the trees, see the sun slowly setting behind the hills, and feel a sense of accomplishment and freedom. She had made her dream a reality. However, the woman from the HOA who Maya had learned was named Karen did not stop her attempts to interfere. Karen began visiting occasionally, walking slowly along the road near Maya's house and peering at her garden. Sometimes she would call Maya, leaving messages about rules and guidelines she believed should be followed. Maya read each message calmly, responding politely and firmly that she was living legally on her property. She did not want to escalate the situation, but she also did not want to give up her freedom. Maya noticed that Karen's visits and messages seemed to increase whenever she added something new to the garden or painted the house a brighter color. It was clear that Karen did not like seeing Maya enjoy her home freely. Despite this, Maya refused to let the intimidation affect her. She continued planting flowers, arranging the garden, and working on small improvements in the farmhouse. Each time she completed a project, she felt more confident in her ability to live independently. One afternoon, while Maya was tending to a small vegetable patch she had started behind the barn, Karen arrived unexpectedly. She stepped out of her car, hands on her hips, and walked straight toward Maya. "This is unacceptable," Karen said firmly. "You cannot just live here and do whatever you want. The rules are in place for a reason. You must follow them." Maya looked up from the soil, wiping her hands on her apron. She smiled politely. "I understand that you have rules for your community, but this house is outside the HOA. I have all the legal documents, and I am allowed to live here and manage my property as I wish." Karen's frown deepened. "I do not agree. You are causing a disturbance. People like me ensure that neighborhoods stay orderly. You cannot ignore us." Maya stayed calm, taking a slow breath. "I respect your efforts, but I am not part of your neighborhood. This is my property, and I am living here legally. I hope you can respect that." Karen shook her head, clearly frustrated that her attempts to control the situation were failing. She walked back to her car, muttering under her breath. Maya watched her leave, feeling a mixture of relief and concern. She knew that living outside the HOA meant freedom, but it also meant dealing with neighbors who were used to control. Despite Karen's efforts, Maya refused to let fear take over her joy. She continued decorating the house, planting new flowers, and setting up a small bench near the pond where she could relax. She even started keeping a journal to record her experiences in the farmhouse, noting the beauty of each day, the birds she saw, and the moments of peace she enjoyed. Every time she wrote in her journal, she felt stronger and more connected to her dream home. Over time, Maya realized that living outside the HOA came with challenges, but it also allowed her to express herself fully. She experimented with colors in her garden, arranged furniture in ways she liked, and even started small DIY projects around the house. Each success, no matter how small, reminded her that she was building a life she truly loved. Karen continued her occasional visits and messages, but Maya learned to respond with calm confidence. She never ignored the woman completely, but she also never let her interfere with her happiness. Instead, she focused on her farmhouse, enjoying every detail she could control. She planted flowers in unusual patterns, created small decorations, and even started a small vegetable garden that produced fresh vegetables for her meals. Maya's days became filled with simple joys. She woke up early to watch the sunrise, drank coffee by the pond, and spent afternoons painting or reading in her sunlit rooms. Each evening, she sat on the porch listening to the wind and watching the stars appear in the clear sky. Despite the occasional tension with Karen, Maya knew that she had made the right choice by moving to her dream farmhouse. She was free, happy, and living exactly the life she had imagined for years. Maya had settled into her farmhouse for a few weeks now. Each morning, she woke up to the gentle sound of birds singing and the wind rustling through the trees. She felt a freedom she had never known before. Her days were filled with small tasks she loved: watering flowers, tending her vegetable patch, arranging furniture just the way she wanted, and painting little decorations on the porch. The farmhouse had become her sanctuary, a place where she could dream, create, and relax. Despite her happiness, Karen, the neighbor from the nearby HOA, had not given up. She seemed determined to enforce rules that did not even apply to Maya's property. Every few days, Karen would appear in her car, drive slowly past the farmhouse, and stare at Maya's garden or house as if waiting for something to complain about. Sometimes she would leave notes on the mailbox reminding Maya of standards or community rules that did not affect her at all. At first, Maya had tried to ignore these actions, responding politely but firmly when needed. However, she soon realized that standing still would not stop Karen. One bright morning, Maya decided to start a new project in her garden. She wanted to build a small pergola near the pond where she could read in the shade. As she carried wood pieces and painted them in soft colors, she noticed Karen driving slowly by the road. Karen stopped the car and got out, hands on her hips, watching every movement. Maya waved politely. "Good morning, Karen," she called. Karen did not smile. "I see you are building something again. You cannot just add structures without permission." Maya set down her tools and walked over calmly. "This is my property. I purchased it legally. I am allowed to build small things on my own land." Karen frowned. "You are ignoring the rules. This is not allowed. I will have to report it." Maya smiled gently. "I respect your dedication to your community, but this house is outside the HOA. I have the legal right to manage my property. I hope you can respect that and allow me to enjoy my home." Karen's face turned red, and she muttered something under her breath before getting back into her car and driving away. Maya shook her head, returning to her project. She refused to let Karen's behavior ruin her day. She measured the space carefully, hammered beams into place, and painted the wood in gentle colors that matched the flowers around the pond. By afternoon, the pergola was finished, and Maya could already imagine herself sitting under it, reading her favorite books. That evening, Maya's friend Lena came to visit. Lena had heard about the farmhouse and was curious to see it in person. As she arrived, she gasped in admiration. "Maya, this place is magical. I love everything, the garden, the pond, the house. You've really created something special." Maya smiled, feeling proud. "Thank you, Lena. I finally have a home where I can enjoy life the way I want. I feel free here." As the two friends sat under the pergola, sipping tea and chatting about life, a car slowly drove past. Maya recognized it immediately. Karen. She was watching the farmhouse from the road, frowning as she saw the pergola. Maya took a deep breath. She could have been annoyed, but instead, she focused on her friend and the peaceful surroundings. "I see Karen is still unhappy," Lena said, noticing the familiar frown from the car window. Maya laughed softly. "She's used to controlling everything, but I can't let her stop me from enjoying my own home." The following days brought more attempts from Karen. She left notes about illegal structures and community regulations on the mailbox. She even tried to persuade other neighbors to agree that Maya's farmhouse did not belong there. Maya, however, responded politely, showing her legal documents and explaining that she had the right to live there. Each interaction made Maya more confident in her ability to stand her ground. One morning, Maya decided to hold a small garden party. She invited friends and neighbors from the surrounding area, wanting to share the joy of her farmhouse with others. She decorated the garden with flowers and lights, set up chairs around the pond, and prepared snacks and drinks. When the guests arrived, they were amazed by the beauty and tranquility of Maya's home. Karen, of course, noticed the gathering from the road. She parked her car and walked over, frowning deeply. "This is completely inappropriate," she said loudly. "You cannot have gatherings without permission." Maya greeted her calmly. "Hello, Karen. These are my friends and this is my property. I am allowed to host gatherings here. I hope you understand that I am following the law." Karen shook her head angrily. "You cannot just ignore the rules. People like me ensure order in the neighborhood. You will cause problems." Maya smiled politely. "I understand that you care about your community, but I am outside the HOA and I have the legal right to manage my property as I wish. I would appreciate it if you could respect that." Karen muttered something and returned to her car, driving away without saying another word. Maya watched her leave and turned back to her guests, who were already laughing and enjoying the garden. She felt proud of herself. Not only had she created a beautiful home, but she was also learning how to stand up for herself with calmness and dignity. As the weeks passed, Maya continued adding small improvements to her farmhouse. She built a small shed for gardening tools, created flower beds with unusual designs, and even started painting murals on the walls of the barn. Each project brought her joy and a sense of accomplishment. Karen's visits continued, but Maya no longer felt intimidated. She had learned that kindness and patience were stronger than anger or control. One afternoon, as Maya was planting sunflowers near the pond, she noticed a group of children from the nearby neighborhood playing nearby. They were curious about the farmhouse and had come to look at the flowers. Maya waved at them and invited them to help her plant a few sunflowers. The children eagerly joined in, laughing and enjoying the garden. Karen, standing across the street as usual, watched the scene. Her frown deepened as she saw Maya interacting with the children and neighbors. For a moment she seemed frustrated that everyone around Maya was happy. But Maya did not notice. She was fully immersed in her work, planting flowers and sharing smiles with the children. By the end of the day, the sun was setting, and Maya stepped back to admire her garden. The pergola glowed softly in the golden light. The sunflowers swayed gently in the breeze, and the pond reflected the colorful sky. Maya felt a sense of peace she had never known before. She realized that despite Karen's attempts to interfere, her farmhouse had become a place of joy, friendship, and freedom. Maya knew that living outside the HOA came with challenges, but it also allowed her to create a life she truly loved. Each small project, each smile shared with friends and neighbors, reminded her why she had made this choice. Karen's visits and complaints could not take away the happiness that Maya had built for herself. That night, as Maya sat on the porch watching the stars appear in the clear sky, she smiled. Her farmhouse was not just a house, it was her home, a place where she could dream, create, and live freely. She had learned that standing her ground with calm confidence was the best way to handle challenges. And she knew that no matter how many times Karen tried to interfere, Maya's happiness would always come first. Maya had lived in her farmhouse for several months now. Each day brought small joys: the gentle sunlight in the mornings, the birds singing in the garden, and the soft sound of water in the pond. Her house had become a true home, filled with warmth and personal touches. She painted murals in the barn, added flower beds in unusual patterns, and even built a small swing under the old oak tree. Each project reminded her that this space was hers, a place where creativity and freedom could flourish. Despite all this, Karen, the HOA neighbor, had not given up. She continued to drive slowly along the road in front of Maya's farmhouse, stopping to observe the garden or murmur complaints to anyone who would listen. Sometimes she left letters in the mailbox, warning about illegal structures or violations that did not actually apply to Maya. At first, these actions had made Maya uneasy, but over time, she had learned to face them calmly. She responded politely to every note, showing her legal documents and explaining her rights. Karen's anger seemed to grow with every polite response. One bright morning, Maya decided to host a small harvest celebration. She had planted vegetables and fruits in her garden, and it was time to enjoy the fruits of her labor. She invited friends, neighbors, and even a few children from the nearby area. Everyone was excited to see the farmhouse in full bloom. The garden was alive with colors, and the air smelled sweet from flowers and fresh vegetables. Maya arranged tables with snacks and drinks, hung small lanterns in the trees, and set up a cozy seating area near the pond. Karen, of course, noticed the gathering from the road. She parked her car and walked toward Maya, her expression more serious than ever. "You cannot do this," she said sharply. "This gathering is not allowed. You are outside the HOA, and this will cause trouble for everyone." Maya welcomed her calmly. "Hello, Karen. Thank you for visiting. These are my friends and neighbors. I am hosting a small harvest celebration on my property, which I own legally. I hope you can enjoy seeing everyone happy." Karen frowned and looked around at the laughter, the children running, and the beautifully arranged garden. For the first time, she seemed uncertain. "But this is not proper. You cannot just have gatherings like this," she said, her voice shaking slightly. Maya smiled gently. "I understand that you have rules for your HOA community, but my farmhouse is outside those rules. I hope you can see that I am not causing harm. Everyone here is happy and enjoying a peaceful afternoon." Karen hesitated, clearly frustrated by Maya's calm confidence. She looked at the children playing near the pond, the colorful flower beds and the lanterns swinging gently in the breeze. Slowly, her frown softened, though she did not admit it. She muttered something under her breath and walked back to her car. Maya watched her leave and then turned back to her guests, who were already enjoying the celebration. Over the next few days, Karen continued her occasional visits, but Maya no longer felt any fear. Instead, she used these moments as opportunities to show kindness and patience. She would wave at Karen from the garden, smile politely, and continue with her work. Sometimes Karen would stop for a short conversation, but Maya always remained calm and composed. She knew that her peaceful approach was stronger than confrontation. One afternoon, Maya decided to create a small herb garden near the kitchen door. She planted basil, mint, rosemary, and thyme, imagining the meals she would cook with fresh herbs. As she worked, Karen appeared from her car, standing silently across the road. She watched as Maya carefully arranged the herbs, watered the soil, and stepped back to admire her work. "You're wasting your time," Karen said finally. "No one will appreciate this. The house does not belong to this community. You are creating problems for yourself." Maya smiled without turning to anger. "I am creating a home for myself and sharing it with friends. That is all I want. I'm not causing problems for anyone. I hope you can see that." Karen shook her head, clearly frustrated that her efforts to intimidate Maya had no effect. She returned to her car and drove away. Maya watched her leave and felt a small sense of triumph. She had remained calm, kind, and firm in her actions. Each peaceful response seemed to weaken Karen's anger, and Maya knew that this was the best way to maintain her freedom. As the days turned into weeks, Maya continued improving her farmhouse and garden. She built a small bridge over the pond, painted new murals, and even started a small reading corner under the pergola. Friends and neighbors visited often, enjoying the peaceful atmosphere and learning about gardening from Maya. Children loved spending time near the pond, feeding the fish and helping plant flowers. Every day, Maya felt more connected to her farmhouse and more confident in her ability to create a life she loved. One afternoon, Maya noticed Karen stopping by the road again, but this time something was different. Karen seemed hesitant. She did not approach as she usually did. Instead, she watched from a distance, her hands resting on the steering wheel. Maya smiled and waved. Karen waved back, though awkwardly. Maya realized that her calm confidence and dedication to her home had begun to change the way Karen viewed the situation. Maya also began documenting her journey in a small journal. She wrote about the progress in her garden, the projects she completed, and the moments of peace she felt in her home. She included sketches of the pergola, the herb garden, and the flower beds. Writing in the journal reminded her of how far she had come, from dreaming about a farmhouse to living freely in her dream home. As the seasons changed, Maya's farmhouse grew more beautiful. Spring brought new flowers, summer filled the garden with lush greenery, autumn painted the leaves in warm colors, and winter added a soft blanket of snow. Maya embraced every season, enjoying the changes and planning small projects for each time of year. She felt a deep sense of satisfaction, knowing that she had created a home filled with joy, peace, and freedom. Karen's visits continued occasionally, but Maya no longer felt threatened. She had learned that kindness, patience, and calm confidence were stronger than anger or control. Each time Karen tried to interfere, Maya responded with grace, and slowly Karen's anger seemed to fade. It was not immediate, but Maya noticed that Karen's frown softened more and more with each encounter. By the end of the year, Maya had achieved a peaceful victory. Her farmhouse was not just a house, it was a home full of life, happiness, and freedom. She had learned how to stand her ground without conflict, how to maintain her dreams despite challenges, and how to create a life that brought her joy. Karen still visited occasionally, but she no longer had the power to disturb Maya's happiness. Maya had proven that living freely and peacefully was possible, even in the face of resistance. Maya sat on the porch one evening, sipping tea and watching the sun set behind the hills. The pergola glowed softly in the golden light. The pond reflected the sky, and the garden was alive with color. She smiled, knowing that she had created more than just a house. She had built a home, a sanctuary where she could dream, create, and live freely. The struggles with Karen seemed distant now, like a small obstacle overcome with patience and confidence. Maya felt a deep sense of accomplishment and peace, knowing that her farmhouse was truly her dream come true. Maya woke up one crisp morning to the gentle light of the sun spilling through her farmhouse windows. The air smelled faintly of flowers from the garden, and she could hear birds singing in the trees outside. She stretched, feeling a sense of peace that she had never known in her city life. Her farmhouse was more than a home. It was a place of freedom, creativity, and happiness. She began her day with a walk through the garden. The flower beds were full of color, the vegetables were thriving, and the pond reflected the clear blue sky like a mirror. Maya noticed small changes from the previous day. The sunflowers had grown taller, the roses were blooming brighter, and the herbs she had planted were already filling the air with their fresh scent. She smiled, feeling proud of the life she had built. After breakfast, Maya decided to check on the projects she had planned for the day. She wanted to build a small gazebo in the far corner of the garden where she could enjoy quiet mornings with her journal and sketch pad. She carefully measured the space, choosing soft wood that would blend with the natural surroundings. The children from the nearby neighborhood who had grown fond of her garden arrived to help. They carried small tools, watered plants, and even painted some of the wooden beams under her guidance. As they worked together, Maya noticed Karen driving slowly along the road, watching from a distance. But instead of the usual frown, there was a hint of curiosity in her expression. Maya waved politely, and Karen hesitated before giving a brief wave back. Maya returned to her work, focusing on the project and the laughter of the children. Over time, she had learned that responding to negativity with calm confidence and kindness had changed the way Karen approached the situation. By mid-morning, the gazebo was taking shape. Maya and the children worked carefully, placing beams and hammering gently, painting each piece with soft colors that matched the flowers around the pond. The children laughed and shared stories, and Maya guided them patiently, feeling grateful for the joy and energy they brought to her home. The farmhouse had become a place where the community could connect, learn, and enjoy simple pleasures. After lunch, Maya took a break under the pergola she had built earlier. She sipped tea, watching the sunlight glimmer on the pond and listening to the gentle rustle of leaves. Her friends had come over, and they were sharing stories, laughing, and helping her plan small improvements for the farmhouse. Maya felt a deep sense of contentment. This was her life now, a life she had dreamed of for years, filled with freedom, creativity, and connection. In the afternoon, Maya decided to start a small library inside the barn. She had always loved books, and she wanted a space where she and her friends could read quietly. She arranged shelves along the walls, filled them with her favorite stories, and created cozy corners with pillows and rugs. By the time she finished, the barn had transformed into a warm, inviting space where anyone could enjoy reading in peace. As evening approached, Maya looked around her property. The gazebo was complete, the garden was thriving, and the barn had become a charming reading nook. She walked along the stone path, checking the flowers and vegetables, feeling a sense of pride and accomplishment. Her farmhouse was no longer just a dream. It was a reality she had built with her own hands and care. Karen appeared once more, driving slowly past the property. This time she stopped and got out of the car. Maya walked over to greet her, ready to respond with kindness as she always had. "Good evening, Karen," Maya said warmly. "Would you like to see the new gazebo?" Karen looked around, clearly taken aback by the beauty of the garden and the structure Maya had built. She hesitated before speaking. I suppose it is very well done," she said quietly. Maya smiled. "Thank you. I am happy to share it. This is my home, and I want it to be a place where people can enjoy nature and simple joys." Karen looked around again, noticing the children laughing, the flower beds, and the peaceful pond. For the first time, she seemed to relax slightly. "I suppose it is nice. You have worked hard," she admitted. Maya nodded. "I have, and I hope you can see that I am living here peacefully. I respect your community, and I hope you can respect my freedom as well." Karen remained silent for a moment, then returned to her car and drove away. Maya watched her leave, feeling a sense of calm triumph. She had maintained her peace, stood her ground, and shown kindness throughout the challenges. Her dream farmhouse was safe, and her happiness was intact. As the sun set, painting the sky in shades of gold and pink, Maya gathered her friends and neighbors near the pond. They sat on benches and blankets, enjoying snacks, tea, and the gentle evening breeze. Children played by the water, friends shared stories, and Maya felt a deep sense of gratitude. Her farmhouse had become more than a home. It was a place of connection, joy, and freedom. That night, Maya sat under the gazebo, writing in her journal. She wrote about the growth of her garden, the new gazebo and the library in the barn. She reflected on the challenges she had faced with Karen and realized how much she had grown in confidence, patience, and kindness. Living outside the HOA had taught her that true happiness came from creating her own path and standing firmly in her truth. Over the following weeks, life in the farmhouse continued to flourish. Maya hosted small gatherings, shared meals with friends, and watched the garden bloom through every season. Karen's visits became infrequent, and when she did come, she no longer tried to interfere. She had seen that Maya's life was peaceful and that her intentions were good. Slowly, she began to respect the boundaries Maya had set. One sunny afternoon, Maya decided to take a long walk around the property. She explored every corner, admiring the growth of her plants, the vibrant colors of the flowers, and the gentle flow of the pond. She felt a deep sense of pride and happiness. This farmhouse was her dream, and she had made it real through patience, dedication, and love. Maya also began teaching small gardening workshops for local children and neighbors, sharing her knowledge and encouraging them to create their own green spaces. She enjoyed seeing their excitement as they planted seeds, watered flowers, and watched their gardens grow. The farmhouse had become a hub of learning, creativity, and community spirit. As the seasons changed again, Maya continued to add small improvements. She painted murals reflecting the 4 seasons, added benches and swings, and built small pathways through the garden. Her farmhouse was alive with color, laughter, and life. It was a reflection of her dreams, her hard work, and her dedication to creating a space of peace and joy. One evening, as Maya sat on the porch watching the stars appear, she reflected on her journey. She remembered the day she first saw the farmhouse online, the excitement of moving in, and the challenges she had faced with Karen. Each step had taught her something valuable about patience, kindness, and standing firmly for what she believed in. She felt proud of herself for maintaining her calm and creating a home filled with love, beauty, and freedom. Maya knew that she had achieved something special. Her farmhouse was not just a house, it was a sanctuary, a place where she could live freely, express herself, and enjoy every moment. She had turned her dream into reality, overcoming obstacles with grace and confidence. The garden, the pond, the gazebo, and the barn were all testaments to her dedication and care. As she sipped her evening tea, Maya smiled, feeling the gentle breeze on her face. She listened to the sounds of the garden, the birds, the wind, and the laughter of friends nearby. For the first time in her life, she felt completely at home. She had found her place in the world, a place where she could live her dreams freely and peacefully. Maya's farmhouse stood as a symbol of her journey, her strength, and her happiness. She had faced challenges, but she had overcome them with patience, kindness, and calm confidence. And now she could enjoy her dream life fully, surrounded by beauty, nature, and the joy of living freely. In the end, Maya knew that her farmhouse was more than just a dream. It was a testament to her courage, her perseverance, and her belief in herself. Every flower, every beam of the gazebo, and every page in her journal told the story of a woman who had dared to follow her heart and create a life she truly loved. Maya closed her journal, looking around her beautiful home. She felt a deep sense of peace and accomplishment. Her dream farmhouse was everything she had imagined and more. She knew that no challenge could take away her happiness because she had built her life on freedom, kindness, and love. And so Maya lived her dream, waking up each day with gratitude, enjoying the beauty of her farmhouse, and sharing her joy with friends, neighbors, and the world around her. Her journey had not only given her a home, it had given her the life she had always dreamed of, filled with peace, creativity, and endless possibilities.